All right, here we go. We're moving on to turn 2. I do need to make a correction here. I thought this was air points track. It's actually just for air drops. So this is actually still at 9 because I only used 3 points for the paratroopers. Air points are still rolled separately and on the first turn. Obviously that didn't happen, so we're just gonna have to say that the Allies rolled a decent number for the first turn, and that's why they were able to get a decent result. They actually, I calculated up, and I think I used 6 total points, which is like an 8 or higher, so it's a slightly above average roll with what they had, so I don't consider it that big of a deal. I think it might have even been less. 1, 2, 3. No, they only used 5. Oh no, that's 4. So 4. So they used 7. So actually, it would have. Sorry, not 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, no, it was 6. Yeah. And I kept missing this line here. There's 2 separate zones in the northern France area. Anyway, that's just a correction. We're gonna move on. They had a good roll, and we'll go from there. So first up here, we're gonna move over to turn 2. Got reinforcements coming in. So this is now the 16th to 30th. So I guess we'll just drop this tank unit here into the box. Then now we do the, this is obviously for Allies first, we do the air point phase. So now we roll to determine air points. We got a 1, we got a 6. So it's going to be 4 air points. I'm actually so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these domination ships, and I'm just going to put it on the air drop track just to keep an idea of what's going on there. So, given the situation, what exactly do we want? How do we want to spend these points? I do think we definitely want to. I mean, we definitely want to put 1. We're going to have to put 1 in for air domination for this air zone at the very least. Drop us down to 3, just so that we could, potentially use air support in that area. Where else would we want to maybe drop it? We could put it up here, which would slightly delay those reinforcements more, which, I'm not sure how important delaying those guys really is at the moment. I feel like we should probably reserve some more air points. I think we should reserve at least 1 air point for Cherbourg, and probably 1 more for the area around Caen. So I'm kind of inclined to, we still have 3. I think we're going to put 1 more in the south, maybe, because that'll still delay. I'm going to put 1 in the southern district because it'll still delay this guy for moving up. And also, I think we're probably going to land the French over here this turn. So delaying him, if he decides to reroute, it'll still cause some problems. So I think that's what we're going to do with that, because that's not a particularly high number. So we've got 2 air points. Basically, we're going to use 2 airstrikes this turn, or 2 ground support, which is not a bad move. Okay, there's no replacement points coming in for the Allies this turn, so we don't need to worry about that. Invasion placement. Let's just do the French. We are definitely going to use the French here. So it's a level 3 beach here at Saint-Tropez. I don't think we're going to land any Americans right now. We're just going to do the... yeah, we're just going to do the beach 4. Near the Tropez. I mean, there's not going to be any resistance, so I'm not anticipating a problem, but so I'm going to put it there, but still. Initial force, we'll go with this 6, and not a particularly strong strong French units. We'll go with the 6 and this 4 strength for the first wave. Oncoming. One French armor. Because we're going to need to move quickly, so we want to get the HQ in there for sure. And then the follow-up to decide later. I mean, we're probably supposed to decide now, but it's not really going to matter. It's probably just going to be the other armor unit. Maybe them. We're going to have a pretty short fight, actually, so we might need the extra points could be worth it. But anyway, so let's just line those guys up. Put those guys up over there. Ready to come in. I don't think there's going to be any other invasions. As tempting as landing over here is right now, I'm not going to do that yet because I may need to hold on to at least one more port. I basically may need to make another invasion just to keep a port open, because it could take, these ports are all evaporating quickly. So we need to get Cherbourg open as soon as possible, and it could take a while. So it could take up to 6 turns to get it operational. And that'll be a serious problem if it takes a long time. Maybe we'll get lucky and roll a 1, but I don't know. Can't count on that. So we may need to hold one in reserve, one beach port in reserve to basically reopen a supply line, even just temporarily. That part aside, we're gonna go. Okay, so we go to attack HQ announcement phase. So we're gonna have to turn the American HQ to its attack side, and we're gonna have to turn the British HQ to its attack side. Everything should be fine. I've got a 5 hex range, so everything should be fine. And then next up is the airdrop phase. So this is an interesting question because I got 2 paratrooper. So I got 2 paratrooper units for the Americans that are available for dropping, and I could drop them for get some extra firepower somewhere, or to try to maybe leverage into another area. And I kind of feel like I kind of want to. It might be worth getting just it's 12 points, which, so if I threw that against Cherbourg, because of the fortress, it would only be worth half, so basically an extra 6, but that's extra 6, could matter. Or I could do something really bold and actually throw them over here and try to assault Brest, which once again it's 6 points, but it's only a 2 defender. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm having it. I'm thinking of a different game. It's double defense bonus, but so an extra 12. So anyway, 12 points against 4. It's a 3-1 on the fortress. I mean, it's not the best odds, but we get a decent roll, and we'll destroy it because it's not only a 1-step unit. That'll potentially open up another port, though it might leave it a bit vulnerable to counterattack. But if it splits the attention of the Germans, that in itself could be pretty useful. That's a tough call. I could also just hold back and wait for a more opportune moment where I think they're going to be able to provide a decisive edge, or possibly even trap some units, trap some Germans. I think I'd hold on to them to where I can drop them in a spot where German units are going to get trapped and forced to surrender. Possibly in the Bow-Cage. That I think is actually probably a more sound idea, so I'll hold off on that. Okay, next we go to the movement phase and the combat phase. Okay, so I'm going to cut the video off here, and I'm just going to handle all the movement, and I might do the combat on camera. I'm not sure yet. Depends on the situation. I might at least film a couple of the really important ones. We'll see. But I'm going to cut off now and jump back to the action, either combat phase or possibly post allied player turn. We'll see. All right, so I did the movement. So the invasion of over here with the French went well. They took 1 step loss on their kind of weaker infantry unit in the landing, and then I just already moved everything on there because there's not going to be anything that can stop them from putting everything on there, even though it's technically shouldn't happen until the shipping phase, but I'm just going to do it now because it didn't matter. Over here, I resolved 1 attack against that bicycle brigade. It was over here, and it was a pretty decent roll by the Allies, so no damage taken. They just kind of worked it over with a couple of these units over here. It's kind of 3 units over here. I think that was even armor. And then I moved these men off the beach and are going to assault Cherbourg. And then I have everything else lined up out here to push on against. So the Brits are going to push on against this thing. I'm wondering if I should try with the Americans first, but that river. So I think we're just going to hit them with the Brits. But let's do Cherbourg right now. So I already did the math. It's 22 to 20, so it's a 1-to-1. The Americans are going to use a air point to shift it to a 2-to-1, which is at least a little better. So let's roll, see what happens. A 4, that's not good. 4 on a 2-to-1. So defender loses 1, attacker loses 2. Okay. So the defender, they'll lose 1 of their garrison units here. And I'll take the damage, take the hit. And the Americans will take 2 losses here on their infantry. That's not great, but oh well, that's what we got to do. Next up here, Brits taking into this guy. He is in bocage, so he's going to be worth 14 defense value. We'll attacking with everybody. Since we have an attack that isn't across the river, we can ignore that. So we got 6, 12, 18, 24. Looks like 30, so I think 30, 39, 39 to 14. It's going to be a 2-to-1. So we'll use our last air point to make that a 3-to-1. And an 8. Okay, that's an okay roll. So 8 on a 3-to-1. 3, 2, 1. So defender takes 2 hits, 2 step losses, and then a 1 retreat. Well, the 2 step losses are going to be all we need here. That's going to destroy that armored unit. So the 21st Panzer is gone. And we can move into that space. I don't want to move necessarily everybody, but I think we'll move the armor. And I think we're going to move the other 2 infantry. I don't think we want to move all the, because we got the Orne River here, so we'll just leave 1. Well, yeah, we're going to leave 1 there. And we'll leave everything else over there. I don't think there's no more attacks. We move on to the exploitation phase. I don't think there's really any overrun attacks we want to try to make. I mean, if we had air support, it might be worth it, but we're out of that, so there's not really anything we want to make. Those guys would be too tough. Those guys would be too tough. The best we could do is, you know, moving this armor unit here, try to make an overrun attack against the that Panzer unit. But like I said, without air support, it's just a straight 1-to-1, and that's not necessarily what we want to do. So I think I'm going to have to ignore that and just move on to the shipping phase. You know, we got all these follow-on units coming. I'm actually just going to do my HQ unflipping right now because I got to cover up some of these guys. So HQ unflipping. And then 2 more American infantry units here, landing another armor unit here, landing a British armor unit here. Already did the shipping for the French. So that will cover everything there. Supply, everything's in supply right now still. Oh, and I forgot to mention, on the French port, I rolled a 6. So the French are lucky. Wish I had at least one of those on Normandy. They're not until turn 7 does their port go away. So they have plenty of time to try to get to Marseille. Anyway, so that'll cover that, and on to the Germans. The Germans have 2 reinforcement units coming in and 1 replacement point. So these guys are going to come in. They come in at the A markers over there. So I'll drop them over here in mains. And then the replacement point. Shoot, let me check something about replacements really quick. So one thing I don't remember off the top of my head is if they're allowed to replace in enemy zones of control. COC effects. Nothing in there about it in the basic rules. Is there anything in the main rules about its replacements? And units in enemy zones can absorb replacements. Yes, okay, so it specifically says that they can. Okay. And it's 1 replacement point and stuff. All right. And that, in light of that, I think, they could rebuild their Panzer, the lost Panzer unit, but I think they're just going to instead rebuild that Panzer unit there. And then we can move on to the movement phase. So, how exactly do the Germans want to play this? They still need to be pretty defensive over here, but they don't really have a position to counterattack right now. So I don't know if they really want to move much over here. I think they're still, especially because they can get this other Panzer unit in, they still want to counterattack in Caen for sure. Even though it's probably not going to matter as much anymore. And they can bring up these units, keep bringing these units up. And I don't think they have a whole lot else they can do right now. Yeah, okay. Since there's not a whole lot going on, I'm gonna cut for the movement, and I'll probably, I'll play out the battle at Caen, but other than that, I think everything else is just gonna be off camera. So I'll see you in a second. All right, so I did the movement. Lots of stuff just kind of moved up to try to get closer to the front lines up here. Not a whole lot else to say about it. And then the German Panzers have moved up to attack Caen again. I already did the math. It's going to be at a 1-to-1. Hopefully their tactical adeptness will help them out here, for their sake anyway. So let's see what happens here on this 1-to-1 attack by the Germans. They rolled a 3. That is not good. I don't think that's going to help with their tactical adeptness. Let's find out. 1-to-1. Level 3 is a A2, so no tactical adeptness because no brackets. They just take 2 hits. That is a very bad showing for them. Oh boy, I guess they're gonna take a hit on the 116th, and I think they're gonna have to take it on the 12th SS as well, just to avoid the worst of potential counterattacks. Okay. There's no other attacks by the Germans. Their exploitation phase is well, that's going to happen, I guess. So they can move the Panzers up again, which I think did I forget to do that in turn 1? I might have. Might have totally forgot to do that. All right, well, I'll just move all those guys up right now. that might have made a difference here. But too late now. Get the 12th SS. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Any other exploitation-worthy panzers? Only the ones in the south, and we're not going to do anything with those. Cherbourg's still holding on. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Supply phase. There shouldn't be anything that's out of supply. Nothing that looks cut off anywhere. And then the fortresses. Cherbourg's fine, so... yeah, I think that's going to be it then. That is the end of turn 2. So not a lot of progress made on the allies, but they are holding on to their foothold or toehold. Probably foothold at this point. You know, it's not a foothold till they open a real port, so their toehold is still going on. The French in the south getting ready to make a ruckus. So yeah, we'll continue on this later.